Jane Hogan, the wellness engineer, and I love to help people release pain and inflammation by letting go of inflammatory foods, thoughts, and feelings so that they can become empowered creators of their health. And this show is Wellness by Design, and it's all about helping people not react to life around them, but design a life based on what their own body needs so that they can live a full life again. So I'm so excited today to have Casey Hibbard on the show. And I'm just going to read a little bit about Casey. So Casey is she's the editor and founder and editor-in-chief of Rebuilding My Health. It's an online magazine featuring natural and integrative health success stories to inspire hope and help people recover. So I'm really, really excited to have Casey here. So Casey, welcome.
Thank you, Jane. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we met a couple of weeks ago when you actually interviewed me for your online magazine, and that was really exciting. And I really wanted to get to know you a little bit more because you've had this incredible time of collecting these healing stories. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of the commonalities you've seen in these stories. So first of all, I know a lot of people have that I speak to, pretty much everyone in this industry has had their own health story. So can you give me a little bit of a background about what yours was?
Yeah. I guess we called it the pain to purpose story. I heard somebody call it that recently, and it's so true. You go through something and then it kind of inspires a new project in life or new passion in life. I had my own health crisis after my son was born, maybe about 8 years ago. Really started with just digestive stuff, really unhappy digestion, and then kind of led to like joint pain and that sort of thing, and autoimmunity. So, then I was diagnosed with like some form of autoimmunity. They didn't know what it was, just that I had, elevated antibodies. So ultimately, they did all the tests and found out I had SIBO, leaky gut, H. pylori, candida, parasites, and low stomach acid. So
wow, what a lovely combination.
I know. So like almost anything that can like be wrong with your gut, I had. So, and it wasn't necessarily like all at once. They kind of uncovered that over time, and I've been addressing it over time. And fortunately, as I've been healing my gut, I've been, feeling a ton better. My autoimmunity has actually reversed. The joint pain has pretty much gone away, the inflammation and all that. So yeah, it's been pretty exciting to see, but I really was only able to get better through a combination of natural and conventional practices. So yeah, so I was pretty inspired to share that information and then also capture stories of other people doing the same.
I love it, Casey. I love how you are collecting these stories. You're sharing it with people because it gives people hope. I know I was like you. I had all these things going wrong. There weren't a lot, even though it was rheumatoid arthritis and there is like a conventional treatment, it still wasn't the best option that I could see, because I could see a lot of people were still suffering with side effects of those medications, but also they didn't always work. Right. And it didn't make sense to me. Like, getting at the root cause, like I'm an engineer, you have a strong foundation. That's what you got to get going first. Right. And it was kind of like the root cause. You need to get at the root cause first. And so, like I had, similar to you, I had, SIBO, I had low stomach acid, all those things. And once I dealt with those, then that helped. But also the healing stories gave me hope, and that made me want to work. towards something. I knew I could get somewhere with it. So like what you're doing is so inspirational.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it.
So anyone that's watching, if you want to type in any questions for Casey, you can go ahead and do that. While we're chatting, I'll see the questions and we can answer them. But in the meantime, so you've been collecting all these stories and you said there's been some commonalities. So let's talk about what some of those commonalities are.
Yeah. And first of all, I want to say that it was really surprising to me how consistently people mention the same things over and over again, because every week I'm interviewing people with these health success stories. And without prompting, people would say the same things over and over. And so, that's what I'm sharing today. Really, no surprise, diet is huge. Almost every person who has gotten better from anything, whether it's Alzheimer's or MS or autism, cancer, like all the big things, any form of autoimmunity, they had to change their diet. But what's interesting is that it's not one size fits all. I've seen people do a vegan diet to heal, and I've seen people do more like a carnivore diet to heal. And those worked for those individuals. Or for other people, it was finding what their specific food triggers were. They had specific sensitivities that came up on tests, and they needed to eliminate those things. So it's about finding the right diet for you. But ultimately, I think it's about reducing the inflammation in your body. That's the reason you do some sort of diet like this. So,
yeah,
and you know that.
I've seen that too, that people, you hear like you say, carnivore diet, vegan diet, and everything in between seems to work. And I always say there's no one diet. There's no one diet. So everyone's physiology is different, and you have to find what works for you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And that was part of my story as well. I was only able to get better, with an anti-inflammatory diet. So, and I'm still on that. So, let's see. The second thing that I consistently see is detox. There's so many environmental toxins these days that, and some of us, what I've learned, are better at processing those than others. Some of us are just naturally not good at processing toxins. So if maybe you have heavy metals or, other pesticides, things in your body, when you detox them, often that clears some of the pathways. I wrote a story about a gentleman who reversed his Alzheimer's, and they found tons of stuff, tons of heavy metals in him, rocket fuel, because he lives near a big Air Force base. And when he changed his diet and detoxed, he actually reversed his Alzheimer's. And his driver's license had been revoked. He went back and got his driver's license again, and he's doing really, really well. But that's not something that conventionally, we think of, that Alzheimer's, it's even possible to reverse it, by detoxing and changing the diet. So he also found he was borderline diabetic, and that was a big issue. But anyway, detox is huge. And let's see, the third one, and you, I know a lot about this, is gut healing. So in my personal story, I never would have expected that healing my gut would stop my arthritis, but it did, and it was the same story for you. Yeah. So, and then, and then my energy as well. I noticed huge upticks in energy when I addressed SIBO, and then also H. pylori in particular. Those were the biggies for me, in terms of fatigue and like brain fog. So, gut healing, and as I've mentioned, there are a lot of different things that can be going on with your gut. So, testing can uncover those, and working with, a naturopath or a functional medicine person or a coach like Jane, you can reverse some of these gut infections or dysbiosis. Let's see, the fourth one, and this is probably the most surprising to me. How many people actually have mentioned that to get better, like there was one thing that was keeping them from getting, like one last thing they had to do. They'd done everything else, and that was to reduce their stress or address like emotional trauma or past trauma or negative emotions, that kind of thing, with some sort of mind-body practices. So, and there are a lot of different ways that people can do that. You know, there's yoga, meditation, breathing, journaling, you know, various forms of therapy. But it's actually, yeah, it's pretty surprising how many people say to me, I had to get a handle on this part of my life, my negative emotions or my stress. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I never thought about that in the beginning at all. I was just like, okay, food. I got to have food. You know, food can heal. So
Right.
it's all about the food. And then, okay, well, no, I need to look at some other things as well. Should look at sleep and movement and all that. And I think I was a good ways along before I realized, oh, the emotions. Need to deal with that. Kind of knew stress was an issue because for me personally, and I've seen it in a lot of people now, that often it's a stressful triggering event that causes the autoimmunity or causes the illness. And well, for you, it was pregnancy, which is a stressful event. There's also weird things going on with our immune system at that time as well.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I will say that it's very interesting. When I start an interview with someone for a health success story, I am expecting them to tell me the triggering event, that because there almost always is a triggering event.
Interesting.
So, and for women, it's often having kids, because that's a big disruption to your body, and then you're not sleeping, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. Or a death in the family, or all the many things that can happen in life. So unfortunately.
and so you mentioned like dealing with childhood trauma, that kind of thing. Do you see that coming up a lot in your interviews?
Definitely, for sure. Yeah. It's either stress, like chronic stress that people are needing to get rid of, or the like childhood trauma, or negative emotions. Kind of.
Yeah. I mean, the childhood trauma, from what I've learned, is that it doesn't even have to be major. Like it can, they really aren't very major, but when it's little kids, we hang on to the emotions from those traumatic events. And then sometimes it's an adult event that triggers that again. And we've had it sitting there simmering kind of all along, and haven't dealt with it. So what ways have you heard people talk about how they dealt with some of these emotions?
Various forms. One woman does this, like, it's called conscious connected breathing.
Okay.
Yeah, she actually worked through her negative emotions and her migraines. She'd had a continuous migraine for more than 20 years. Like, never stopped. And she started doing this really deep breathing, conscious connected breathing, and it brought up a lot of past trauma and helped her work through it, and her migraines went away, which is just crazy to think of. You hear a story like this and you're like, really? How could that actually work? But it does. And now she teaches other people how to do this type of breathing.
Cool.
And then others have done various forms of therapy, a lot of different forms of therapy out there, or neurofeedback, or just, and it doesn't have to be that complicated. You can start journaling to work through this kind of thing. You don't need to necessarily see a practitioner.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I've seen that too, and I use that with my clients and in my Wonderful Find membership. That we use a bunch of different ways of of getting these emotions out. And we don't have to sit there and kind of go over it all and why it happened. It's just, it doesn't matter. You just need to get it out of you. And in whatever way you can release that. And there's numerous ways to release. It's really interesting, actually, that the whole idea that we store emotions in our body, in our physical body, they get stored somewhere, and we need to release them.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It is fascinating.
Yeah, it must be. So how many people have you interviewed now over?
Gosh, yeah. Hundreds at this point. Yeah, I don't know the exact count, but yeah, it's been just so fascinating, and every story, every person I talk to kind of touches me, because it's just so powerful to see that transformation of someone being diagnosed with something supposedly chronic, and then to have that reverse in their lives to completely turn around. Yeah.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. Wow. With all those stories, like, have you written a book or anything on this? Put it all together in a book?
No, it's all on my site at this point. But
oh my goodness. I just think all the collection of these stories and like a statistical analysis of them or something like that would be so interesting for people like me that like to geek out on these kinds of stories.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty fascinating. So, but do you want to mention I'm always looking for success stories?
Okay.
It's put that out there, that if anyone's open to being interviewed, I would love to share their stories. So.
I think that's an awesome idea. So if there's anyone watching this that has a health success story and you'd like to share it with Casey, who can share it with other people, then you can get in touch with Casey. What's your best email address, Casey?
So it's Casey at rebuildingmyhealth.com. Yeah. Okay. And there's also if you go to my site, rebuildingmyhealth.com, there's a contact form as well.
Yeah, and I've got a link there for that. So that's fantastic. So what you've mentioned some of your stories. So what's the wildest one of all?
The wildest one of all.
Most dramatic.
The most dramatic. I mean, the most dramatic ones are the things that the Alzheimer's guy really stands out, just because you hear a diagnosis like Alzheimer's and life kind of stops. Like, you got to get your affairs in order, all that. And for him to be able to do this work over, I think it was like 7 months, and then he took the pencil, what I think is called the pencil and paper test for Alzheimer's, and there was no sign of Alzheimer's anymore on that test for him. And for him to be able to go back and start living the life that he thought was, over, was pretty breathtaking. There are, multiple MS stories, people who have really reversed their MS, and then autism. Those are others where I've got two stories on boys with autism where they dramatically reversed their symptoms. There may still be some level of autism, but their symptoms are dramatically reduced. And in many cases that means that they can communicate with their families. They became verbal when they weren't before, and it's just such a gift for those families.
Oh my goodness, I'm sure. A lot of people, when they think of these different chronic illnesses, I think in general, people aren't thinking that they can reverse them. They think they got them and that's it, bad luck for me. And devastating, of course, like a lot of people are very afraid of Alzheimer's, but pretty much all of these chronic diseases they are saying now, they are diseases of lifestyle, and lifestyle is within your control. So you can change, you're in a position of power to change your lifestyle. So you can actually reverse these, which is pretty amazing and very empowering. I found, because for me, when it first came along, I felt very much like a victim. And when I realized I could make changes, and it put me in a position of power. And I see that over and over again with the people I work with as well.
Right, for sure. Yeah, you have to, I will say again, just like with your story, Jane, there is a point where the person makes the decision.
Yeah.
I am going to do this. I'm going to heal. I'm going to find the answers, and I'm going to do what it takes. So there's always that decision point in the story, and it's very it's interesting. It's the turning point.
Yeah. I think it's really important that you pointed that out, because you do have to make a decision that you will pursue this no matter what, because lifestyle changes are not easy.
No.
You're going up against, first of all, culture. You're going up against your own cultural and limiting beliefs. You're going up against food cravings and things like that. The food has been designed to make us addicted to it.
Yeah.
And that's what the food side. But so many things where you've got a lot to overcome. And in order to get over that, you really need to be 100% committed no matter what. Now, luckily, I found, and I've seen it, that as people start moving along, they get enough reward that it motivates them to keep going. So that's good. But in the beginning, I mean, I've met people who say, I don't want to give up gluten. If I can't eat bread, I just soon die. So that kind of person is not going to make the changes that they need to make.
Right. It's true. And I will say, I know some people may be disappointed to hear this, that probably 95% of the people that I have interviewed had to give up gluten. It's like the one poison for most of us. Well, not literally poison, but it's not good for most of us. So
I learned in my coach training that really gluten is not really digestible by anyone. Some people can do a bit better with it than others, but if you've got inflammation, it's like fanning the flames, right? So you just need to take it out if you've got inflammation going in your body. If you want to reduce inflammation, assuming you want to reduce inflammation.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I remember, it gets easier over time. The first time I changed my diet, I was like, okay, I'm going to change it for 30 days. And I was literally crossing the days off on a calendar. And now it's been 6 years that I've been on that same diet, pretty much. I don't even think about it anymore, but
it becomes a new lifestyle. I was reading through one of my journals a little while ago, and I was like, I've been 6 months gluten-free, and I'm making progress, but I still have pain. I kind of thought I'd do that, and then I'd be okay, and then I go back to what I was doing before. And it's not like that, really. It's like you're making a lifestyle change, and it's a good change. And I think as time goes on, there's a lot more awareness. There's a lot more, everywhere you go now, there's gluten-free on the menu. So it's easier. It is easier than it was. And so many more people are kind of embracing it that it's almost becoming normal that people are gluten-free.
Right.
That's what it seems like in my world.
Right. Exactly. I know I'll go places now and I'll be like, they don't have, gluten-free labels on a menu. What's, it's just what's Y2K or something.
That's funny. Okay. I got one last question. I'm just going to put it up on the screen. This is the one I always ask everyone on the show at the end. What's one action someone could take today to improve their health? So based on everything that you've learned, all the people that you've talked to, what would you say is one action someone could take today?
Yeah, I would definitely say get some sort of mind-body practice, especially right now with everything that we're going through with COVID. It's, there are extra stresses even beyond what we normally have. So whether it's just breathing, there are all these apps now that can, help you breathe, help you meditate, to make it easier to do even the tapping. There's a new tapping app. So it's, so much out there to help you do this, or just start a gratitude journal. What are you grateful for? Do that every day. So start something and build it from there.
I love that, Casey. I love starting simple, and
Yeah.
any of those practices, anything that's just going to make you feel more calm
Mhm.
is going to help, because
Mhm.
right away your whole autonomic nervous system calms down, your whole digestive system will work better, your immune system will work better, all of your systems will work better if you
Yeah.
are feeling calm, right? So I
Right.
love that. Great place to start. Love it, love
Yeah.
it, love it. Okay,
Good.
so people can reach you on Instagram and Facebook at
Mhm.
um,
Let's see. Facebook, I think it's Rebuilding My Health. Instagram, I think it's also Rebuilding My Health on
okay.
Instagram. Yeah, exactly.
I'll put all the links there anyway, so people
Yeah.
can find you. This has been such a pleasure. I love that I love what you're doing in the
Thank
world,
you.
and that you're sharing this and giving people hope, and really just inspiring people, more and more people, to take that step to become empowered in their health by using food, lifestyle, mindset, all those things that
Yeah.
you're seeing are the common things that everyone's doing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for talking with us today, Casey.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me.
Okay,
Take care.
bye.
Bye.